yesterday, December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy. The United States of America was suddenly and deliberately attacked by naval and air forces of the Empire of Japan. With confidence in our armed forces, with the unbounding determination of our people, we will gain the inevitable triumph. So help us God.
It's December 7th, 1941. Where were you when you heard the news?
I was in the dining room. I was in the dining room in my mother and father's house, and the news came over, and I didn't even know that they were negotiating.
You didn't know it was a hot...
I didn't know that it was a hot thing going.
Yeah, that took you really by surprise.
Yeah, it did. It took us all by surprise.
Lucky Strike Green has gone to war. Yes, Lucky Strike Green has gone to war.
We're off to drive the heights right off of the high. We're off to slap the Japs right off of the net.
We'll knock him on his axis right from here to Alabama. Oh, the son of a gun who picks on Uncle Sam.
We don't care if it's Tripoli or Sumatra. We don't care if it's Tokyo or Siam.
We'll suck the sukiyaki out of any diagram. Oh, the son of a gun who picks on Uncle Sam.
Tell the Danes and Dutch and French and such, they are not forgotten men. Tell the cockeyed world our flags unfurled. The planes are humming, the tanks are coming, the Yanks are in again.
We've got a wood kimono for the Mikado. We've got the mausoleum for Mussolini.
We'll pickle, sickle, Goober for the coroner's exam. Oh, we're out to farm our monogram. On the son of a gun, who'll pick the star on the coast.
We didn't think too much more of it. And then in February, we got a notice.
February 1942.
Yeah, we got a notice that we had to sign up. So we went to the Huntington School, and Ruth Tufts Cosgrove, I remember her name. She was the teacher at the high school. Signed us up over there, give you a number and all that. And then you just waited to be called.
How old were you?
21. They were taking them from 21 years old until 30. That was the very first call-up. That was the very first call-up from 21 to 30. And they took everybody. And I mean they took everybody. If they looked in one ear and they couldn't see out the other one, they took you. That's to fill up the ranks.
So February you signed up for the draft.
That's right.
When did you actually get drafted?
There was no time at all. It was almost immediately in June. But June 15th, I was inducted on June 15th.
June 15th, 1942.
In 1942, yeah. We all went up to the old railroad station in Brockton there. The band was playing. Joe Downey. Joe Downey was the mayor then. I've still got pictures downstairs in my draft room. And then, we get on the train, and we went to Boston at the Commonwealth Armory. We took our physical in there, and from there, we boarded the train and went to Fort Devens in air. There they were fitted out for our uniforms and everything, and then they told us when over to was all about, what to expect and all that. And then I had previously put in for 10 days to come home to clear up my business. Clear up my business. And I come home. And then we went back and they shipped us off to Fort Knox. There we took our basic training. And
Fort Knox,
in Fort Knox, Kentucky.
Kentucky, so.
Yeah, that's where the gold vault is.
Yeah.
And,
So this is June, pretty hot.
when I got off that train in that heat in June, I had never in my whole life felt anything as hot as that around here. It was unbearable, the heat. And I said, well, you better get used to it, because that's the way it is down here. So we went to the barracks and found out what army life was about. And the next thing you know, we all got called to the dispensary. They gave us all our shots in there. And some of the fellows were passing out from the needles. It was funny. And they sent us down to the dentist. They yanked out all our bad teeth. And then we had 13 weeks of basic training.
So,
And after that, boy.
how did you find basic training physically? Was it rough?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was rough. Especially for me, not being a big person. And all
Yeah.
that. It was especially rough for me. The heat was unbearable down there. After that, I got assigned to go to radio school, and I went to radio school for 13 weeks and learned to take 20 words a minute on the Morse code. I guess I still know the Morse code to this day. And after that, I got assigned to the 49th Armored Infantry. That was the beginning of a real rough, I'm telling you. And then we went from there. We trained there in the infantry. We were sent to Camp Campbell. Down there we trained more for the infantry. And then they formed what they call a cadre. We went back to this cadre, consisting of a few people. Went back to Fort Knox. There we started up a new armored infantry company, and from there on we trained new recruits that came in. We did that for about a year and a half. And then we had demonstrations of modern warfare and all that. And then one day the Inspector General come around, and he decided that he was going to send us all overseas. So
you were in Kentucky for a year and a half?
yeah, I was there. Yeah, I was there from 1942 until 1944. 2 years I was there. I was in Kentucky.
Did you ever come back home a few times?
Oh yes. I had two or three furloughs. I come home and all that.
Fellow on a furlough.
we finally went down to Newport News, Virginia. They sent us down there. And in the middle of the night, they loaded us on the train, and we drove out to Hampton Roads. Hampton Roads is the seaport down there in Newport News. And we all filed stealthily on the ship, quiet, you know. We had no idea where we were going. Fully loaded, 120 pound packs on our back or whatever it was. Rifles and everything. Get on there and we silently pulled out on a convoy, which consisted of quite a few ships. And we went over and made the crossing in the convoy. Now, my ship was on the outside rope. That meant that the only thing between us getting torpedoed by German submarines was a thin line of destroyer protectors. When they stayed with us, it took us 15 days to get over there. We had no idea where we were going. So one morning, on the 15th day, I looked out the porthole and I saw this volcano. And I says, I've seen that on picture postcards. And the volcano was erupting at that time. And I says, I've seen that on picture postcards. I says, we gotta be in Italy. And I looked out the porthole, and there was these little rowboats down there with a whole bunch of Italians in them, all waving at us, you know. And they were, hey, we're Italians. You know, our parents came from here, and they'd holler out, oh, sì, le che paese sono? And that means what town they came from. We told them, they knew where it was. It was right there where we landed.
So at this time, did the Italians swapped over? I mean, did they surrender the Americans, or were they still giving up resistance?
They had quit the war.
Yeah.
They had surrendered.
Yeah.
And they had arrested Mussolini. And put Badoglio in charge of the government there. And no, not quite. And they had, after they arrested him, they put Badoglio in charge, and he negotiated for the surrender. So after surrendering, they were more or less on our side.
Yeah.
Some of the Italian units were attached to us.
Oh.
And they fought right alongside with us. And we got on the train and we went to what they call a replacement depot. That meant that all the casualties up in the front lines, as they became casualties, they come down to the replacement center, you know, to take the men and to bring them up to fill in the gaps wherever there were casualties. Well, stayed there for a couple of weeks, and then we went up north to where they sent us up north to where the war was.
You're still in Italy?
We're still in Italy, yeah.
So Hitler had sent the Germans to reinforce the lines.
Yeah, that's right. They had the Gothic line up there, below Rome. And what was going on while we were there was they had just broken out at Anzio, where we suffered so many casualties. And after we joined our outfits, oh boy, I'll never forget that night. Rain. We had mud up to our necks, waiting to go up there. And we knew we were assigned to our units. And the very first day I went up there, somebody called our company from the front lines and says, we got everything safe up here. Come up and relieve us. So we all marched up there, going, pile of rocks. I was so tired. And with a heavy pack and everything, climbing up and down those mountains, headed for up to where we're supposed to relieve this company. Well, come to find out, we went up there, and this company pulled out. And we got up the next day, and we found out that we were surrounded on three sides by Germans. We were trapped there. We were trapped.
So this is what, 1943?
1944.
1944, what month?
It was around July or August.
So this is after D-Day. D-Day was...
Yeah, after D-Day.
After D-Day.
After D-Day, yeah. Well, we got up there, and when we get up there, and the next morning, as I said, we were surrounded, and the Germans, they hit us with everything they had.
They still had that much fight left in them.
Oh, yes. Plenty.
Yeah.
They hit us with everything they had. And there was a direct, I was in a little place there, and there was a direct hit right on our house. And the place was full of debris and everything. And when the debris cleared, there were wounded people all around there, you know, blood and everything. And the old man says, we're going to find out if we're safe up here or not before we come up again. And so all that day long, they were hitting us and hitting us and hitting us. And we were losing a lot of people. Well, then a very strange thing happened. All our wounded was laying out in the field there, and all of a sudden, we'll never know to this day why, the Krauts, the Germans, lifted the fire. They lifted their fire. And our medics went up there and picked all these people up. And the Germans, for some reason, didn't fire on them. They got all the wounded out of there. And and then as soon as they pulled out, they started hitting us again. And again, and again. Losing more people.
So you were meeting veteran German troops who've been fighting for
That's right,
years.
that's right.
And you guys were basically rookies?
That's right. Basically, some of us.
Yeah.
And we were all replacements, you know.
Yeah. So this was the first.
That night, we got out of there. We hightailed it out of there. And you might call it a retreat. We got out of there and went back to where it was safe. And then, of course, later on, we retook the whole place. And after that, no, while we were up there, in the billet, geez, I had to go to the bathroom. So I went outside, and I'm a son of a gun, a German didn't spot me out there. Spot me. Opened up with a machine gun. And I don't know to this day how I'm living. I could feel those bullets going right by my legs. I don't know whether between my legs or what. There was a picket fence there, chopped the whole fence down. And the old man, our company commander, hollers out of his hole. He says, "For crying out loud, Sergeant," he says, "what are you trying to get us all killed?" Thinking about them, they never mind me out there. So I jumped back in the hole and it was all right. And then we finally pulled out of there. Well, we advanced the next day, and we come to some mountain. A couple of days later, we come to some the North Apennine. I think it was the Apennine Mountains, and foot troops had to be, the troops on the front lines, us, had to be fed. They had to get food to us somehow, and the only way they could do it was by mule train, by mules. They'd pack them up in the rear, and at night they would come up and bring the food up. They would bring the food up and unload and quietly and go back. Well, the mules made a lot of noise. The mules made a lot of noise, and they were Italian mule drivers. And they kept talking, and the Germans were trying to keep them quiet. The Germans would hear them, and open up on them. And they had to have the liaison between us and the mule drivers. So asked if anybody could speak Italian. I said, I can speak a few words. So they pulled me out of the front line and acted as a liaison. The American would send back and said how many mules had to be had for that night, and so to load them up, to bring them up to the front. Well, they couldn't speak, the Americans couldn't speak to them, so they had to have an interpreter. So I became the interpreter between the two. So every night, not only that, then I'd go back, we'd load the mules up with food for the troops in the front. And I had to bring them up. I had to bring them up, lead them up there to the front lines where our guys were, and unload and go back in the middle of the night. Every night I had to do that for months and months and months, and it was dangerous. Every night you went up there, it was dangerous, and it wasn't safe at all.
So when you're on the front line, you're pretty much living in a hole, trench?
Not at that time. That time previously,
yeah.
But not then, because I'd go back with I'd go back with the mules at night, see, and to bring them up the next day.
Yeah.
Well, did that for a while, and after we got out of the mountains, we went out in the plain there in the Po Valley, and they didn't need the mules anymore, so I had to go back to my rifle company. I didn't care much about that. I didn't care, but I had to go back, and back up in the front. Germans would be shelling us and all that, and it was dangerous. Yeah. It was dangerous. Well, you didn't know.
It was 1944 or 45?
Yeah, you didn't know whether you were going to be living in 5 minutes or be dead or what. It was awful. Well, we chased it. We chased the Germans all over northern Italy, and we were finally on the same road that Mussolini was trying to escape on. We were on that same road, and what happened was Mussolini, you've probably seen it in the movies. Yeah. They were escaping with the Germans. Well, they caught him. The Italian partisans, they caught him. And they pulled him out of the truck. And they were arguing about what to do with Mussolini. Whether to hand him over to the Allied military government or execute him on the spot. Well, some of the partisans were communists. And the leader was a communist, as far as I know. He decided that it was time to shoot him. So they did. They shot him, and they took him back. They took Mussolini and his whole, and they rounded up the rest of his gang and his girlfriend there, and they took him to a place called the Piazza Loreto. It was a gas station in Milan. But they strung them all up by the feet. They strung them all up by the feet there. And then after a few days, the Allied military government stepped in and said, you better cut them down. They don't look good hanging there. They don't look good hanging there. So they did. Yeah. And there happened to be a lady there. After they had cut them down, she shot Mussolini 5 more times. She had 5 sons that had died, under him. So she said that's why one bullet for each one of them. Then we crisscrossed back and forth in Italy. We finally came to we captured her town. We captured her town. And I was in, because the war was practically over. And we were billeted there, and we had a mutual friend that she worked as an apprentice in a beauty parlor, learning the business. No pay. No pay. But this mutual friend was a customer of her shop, and told her that she knew somebody that was a colored race that came from us. That's where she came from. Calabria, Italy.
Down the street.
Yeah, this was the way where the romantic part starts. I'm walking down the street, and was she in the shop at that time? That brought you out?
Who was it?
Cosa, non so come si chiamava.
I forgot.
Anyway, she came out of the shop. This is. Miles away.
What town is this?
Well, this was in a place called Saluzzo. It was in northern Italy.
Near Torino.
Near Torino.
We up here with you.
And, hello. Oh, man, it's all over to it. She went back inside. And then there happened to be a carnival in that town. And we went up there, and pretty soon, off in the distance, she's there with her sister and brother-in-law. She says, that's him. That's him. The sister was a little more bold than her. So what did it? You came over then, and they invited me up the house. And I went up there, and had dinner and all that. And then they were running little dances there, and we go up there, and we dance, and have a good practically over, having a good time. And one thing led to another, and that was it. That was about it. That was about it. And then the war was over, and I came home. Thinking nothing, we were going to exchange a few letters, you know. And then all of a sudden, she sends a letter. What are your intentions? You know? In other words, like don't waste my time. What are your intentions? Well, of course. And then kind of I snapped too. And then I decided to send more. And the rest is history. That's about it.
rock-a-bye, my baby, there ain't gonna be no war. There ain't gonna be no war over here. Rock-a-bye, my baby, all on the other side. We ain't gonna need no ride of Paul Revere. We're gonna have peace and quiet, and if they start a riot, we'll sit right back and keep score. The only place you go marching to will be the corner grocery store. So rock-a-bye, my baby, there ain't gonna be no war.